love calling your shots, pointing at various threats and letting everyone know that you're going to be taking them down in the next turn? Well, good news. Slaanesh is a big fan of that kind of thing, and will absolutely reward you if you can follow through on your kill promises. If you're up for that kind of planning and don't mind putting in the work to make it happen, then you can reap some big rewards. In this video, we're going to cover the Coterie of the Conceited detachment for the Emperor's Children. We'd like to thank Games Workshop for providing us with a preview copy of these rules for review purposes. If you want to read more about this detachment, head on over to our website, goonhammer.com, where you can find a detailed write-up with sample lists. Link in the description. Detachment Rule: Pledges to the Dark Prince. At the start of the battle round, if your warlord is on the table, you must pledge a number to Slaanesh. This is calling how many enemy units you're going to destroy during that battle round. At the end of the round, if you meet or beat that number, you gain that many pact points. Fall short, and your warlord takes D3 mortal wounds. Your army gains a bonus depending on how many pact points you've gained so far, and they stack. From 1 point, your units reroll hit rolls of 1. At 3, they reroll wound rolls of 1. At 5, your melee weapons gain lethal hits and sustained hits 1. And at 7 or more, each time your units make an attack, you score crits on 5s. These are some very good army-wide buffs, but we've got to start with the elephant in the room. Calling the number of units you plan to kill is easier said than done, and it gives your opponent a lot of control over your ability to score those bonuses. That warlord on the table requirement can really cause problems for you, as it both means that your warlord can't hang out in a transport, and if they die, you lose the ability to make new pledges. The other thing is that this is a slow ability. Your best chance of hitting 7 or more points is likely to be at the end of round 3, meaning you'll already be waiting until turn 4 to get your full power, and by that point, you may have already won or lost anyways. The enhancements here are fine. Pledge of Eternal Servitude lets you stand back up the first time you die if you can pass a leadership test. This is particularly great on a winged demon prince, where those wounds go a lot further. Your odds of getting back up here are about 72%. Pledge of Dark Glory gives the bearer's unit +1 leadership and +1 OC. It's okay, but a bronze medal at best. Pledge of Mortal Pain lets you hand out leadership tests at -2 in the shooting phase, and if your opponents fail, they take 3 mortal wounds. This is okay, but not super reliable, and because of the timing, it doesn't really combo with your Noise Marines' ability to hand out -1 leadership modifiers. Pledge of Unholy Fortune lets the bearer's unit get a free unmodified 6 to hit, wound, or save per turn. This effect is always great, and probably best on a Demon Prince or a Lord Exultant, where the latter can combine it with his lethal hits ability to ensure a Tormentor with a Meltagun auto-wounds their target. All 6 of the stratagems here cost you 1 CP, meaning they're priced to moved, and there's some really solid entries. Protection of the Dark Prince gives you a 6-up Feel No Pain for a phase and a 4-up against mortal wounds. This is a solid ability, and having the standard 6-up means it's more than just a very situational play against Thousand Suns and Grey Knights. Unshakable Opponents gives 1 unit the ability to ignore modifiers on weapon skill, ballistic skill, hit, and wound rolls for a round. This really needed to ignore damage modifiers to be the kind of fire pick we'd want to see, but as is, it's still very good for going into heftier units like Death Shroud Terminators, who will often give you -1 to your weapon skill, hit roll, and -1 to wound. Embrace the Pain lets you force an opponent to attack one of your infantry units in the fight phase. This is a weird one because you don't have cultists to throw this at, and you can't use it on Chaos Spawn. So the use case becomes using Infractors to pull attacks away from a bigger threat like Flawless Blades, Fulgrim, or a Demon Prince. It's still useful, but it's a bit of a non-bow with the army's Thrill Seeker's ability, which stops you from charging the same target with multiple units if you've advanced or fallen back. Martial Perfection gives a unit full rerolls to hit in the fight phase. This is amazing, and it's wild that you can just get full rerolls to hit for 1 command point. Until you remember that having 1 glory point will get you rerolling 1s anyway, and that's just as good in your characters in Flawless Blades. This will do its best work with 5 or more pact points active, as that'll be when you're able to effectively fish for lethal and sustained hits. Unbound Arrogance lets you increase your pledge to Slaanesh by 1 after you kill a unit. This is fantastic for addressing one of the major weaknesses of this detachment, especially if your warlord is dead. You should be trying to windmill slam this every round. It won't get you more points, but it does give you coverage if you undershoot or lowball your number, so you can use it to push to a higher pledge right as you kill 1 extra unit you weren't expecting. Armor of Abhorrence is just Armor of Contempt for Emperor's Children. -1 AP is useful, though less so since the December data slate. One of the big things to consider with this detachment is that you need your warlord on the table to get the most of it. For that reason, this detachment more than any other pushes you to not take Fulgrim, as you'll ideally want a warlord option who can be more easily hidden. In that sense, you also can't use the faction ability if he's in a transport, making the ideal choice here something like a Demon Prince or Lucius, where the ability to get Lone Operative to protect them can be really valuable. Lucius in particular works well for this, as in addition to having Lone Operative when he's by himself, he also has a 5-up Feel No Pain to shrug off failed pledges. If you're taking a Demon Prince, then consider Pledge of Eternal Servitude as a way to keep them on the table for an additional round. And remember that even if your Warlord has died, you can still use Unbound Arrogance to up your pledge to 1 when you kill an enemy unit. Beyond that, this army wants Noise Marines for their ability to throw out ranged damage, and it's worth noting that Slaanesh doesn't care even the slightest who's getting the kills in your army, so having allied War Dogs score your kills is a solid option here. Now let's go over the strengths and weaknesses. There are 4 different army-wide offensive buffs you can get here, and they're all good to have. You can get rerolls of 1 to hit and wound pretty quickly here without too much of an investment. There's also some great stratagems here. Ignoring modifiers, the Feel No Pain, and rerolling hit rolls give you some great tools to work with, and the ability to increase your pledge in a pinch can be a godsend if you need to fast track your pact points or you've lost your Warlord. Now unfortunately, you are relying on that Warlord. Requiring him to be on the battlefield is a brutal hoop to jump through, and it forces you to not only keep your Warlord out of reserves, but also out of transports, making them very vulnerable. And that detachment rule is good, but it's slow. It'll never do anything for you in the first battle round, and best case scenario, you'll likely be looking at the benefits of 7 or more points in round 4 at the earliest. By that point, you may have won the game already. And this is the only detachment in the book to not have any stratagems or buffs for movement. What you get here are purely offensive and defensive buffs, plus a utility tool for your pact points. The Coterie of the Conceited is one of the most interesting detachments in this entire codex. It's definitely going to be a hard detachment to make work, in that you'll need to play the army to get a feel for exactly how much you can kill and when in a given game against a given army. But if you can crack that code, you'll be able to reap some powerful benefits early that can make your elite units even better. If you're looking to kill some time while you rack up those pact points, why not head over to goonhammer.com for painting articles, tactics guides, and more. And if you like what we do, you can back us on Patreon for behind the scenes stuff, Discord access, and other goodies. I've been Conceited McNarcissist, thanking you for keeping all eyes on me. Thanks for watching.